Hi everyone, and welcome to part two of the two-part mastering session. And this session is about repairing your period. So, Valerie will be talking to you about how to repair your period. So, if you remember yesterday, we were going through some questions about some things related to your period. So I will hand over to Valerie, who would now continue the session.
Thank you, JD. Evening, everyone. Greetings. I hope you are well and you're looking forward to part two as much as I am. Now, I just wanted to ask you guys a question, really, before we get going. Do you look forward to your period? Just say yes or no in the chat, if you're willing to respond. Do you look forward to your period? Nope. That's kind of the answer I was expecting. Anyone else? Okay, yeah, so yeah, I echo that. So next question, does your period make you feel like a woman? Does your period make you feel like a woman? In certain ways? No. Anyone else? No. Yeah. 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 I know what you mean. Yeah. Makes you know you're fertile. Okay. If you've answered no to any one of those questions, then something tells you that something's not right if you're not looking forward to it. There's nothing more annoying than those adverts for Body Form or Always, and they're showing you having a happy period. There's never once in my life that I've had a happy period, I can assure you that. So how would you feel if your period stopped altogether? That's something for you to ponder on. So let me share my screen. Hold on, let me just move that out of the way. There we go. So I hope you all can see that now. You can see the slides and you can hear me okay. I'm assuming you can. So welcome to part two of the Hormone Series Masterclass. This is part two, which is repair your period. So for anyone who hasn't been here before or who wasn't here yesterday, I'm Valerie. Greetings, founder of Women Wise Health. I'm known as the Womb Wellness Warrior, and I'm a holistic reproductive health practitioner. So like many women, I suffered with gynecological issues for years and years and years and years. I had large multiple fibroids that made me look 6 months pregnant, and I actually have the follow-up letter that was written to me because they sent me a copy that saying I was 24 weeks in gestation. What this did was it severely impacted my confidence. The fact that I couldn't cover it up, I had to wear big baggy clothes that made me look like a sack of potatoes. Plus, I endured years and years and years of excessive menstrual bleeding until I ended up in hospital, actually more than once. It was only when I reached that pivotal moment when I was in the hospital bed, drip attached to my arm, did things eventually change because I had enough, and that's what brings me here today. So yesterday we looked at estrogen dominance, the root cause and all the symptoms that go along with that. Plus I gave you some natural solutions so you can start reversing the symptoms and keep your hormones in check. So today we're going to explore how you're going to repair your period. So, and as we know, like yourself maybe, many women world over millions even, suffer with menstrual issues. And the causes and remedies
What did you say again? You're not going Sainsbury's.
Is what I'll be sharing with you today. Can everybody mute? So, all right. So what you're going to learn today is how your period works and what a healthy period actually looks like. Why medication will only ever be a temporary fix. And I'm going to share with you 6 powerful daily habits that you can put into practice right now so you have a healthy period. So, but according to the NHS, because I always look on the NHS website for, I say guidance, for information more like. So according to the NHS's website, heavy periods are common and maybe just normal for you. So you see how they're normalizing something that's abnormal, if you remember me talking about that yesterday. So let's dive right in now and to discover how your period works. So don't look at this and think, oh my God, don't worry about it. The menstrual cycle consists of 4 primary stages, all right? So that the female body goes through to prepare for the possibility of becoming pregnant. So also your hormones, which are estrogen and progesterone, they rise and fall all the time throughout the month. So that's what we know as the menstrual cycle. So like I said, there are 4 phases, which I'll go through 2 of them briefly now. So you have the follicular phase, and then you have the luteal phase. Okay, the follicular phase is around days 1 to 13, and is a time when the ovarian follicles grow in preparation for the main attraction, which is ovulation. The follicular phase begins on the first day, so day 1 of your period, and ends with the ovulation, which is on day 14. So that takes about 2 weeks, although as we know, that can vary from woman to woman. A healthy period starts with healthy follicles. Follicles are part of your ovaries that produce estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Okay. Follicles tend to be negatively affected by things like inflammation, autoimmune conditions, thyroid disease, insulin sensitivities, and a lack of essential nutrients. So the luteal phase here follows ovulation. Okay, if ovulation is successful, a progesterone secreting gland called the corpus luteum forms. So if you remember nothing else, remember this one thing. This is how you make progesterone. Okay, what progesterone is the feel-good hormone for overall well-being, pregnancy, and healthy periods. So the luteal phase lasts approximately 2 weeks. So how long the luteal phase actually lasts is determined by the lifespan of the corpus luteum. Okay. The health of your corpus luteum is affected by the same things that affect your ovarian follicles. But what happens is that if pregnancy doesn't occur, the lining of the uterus sheds, and the next menstrual cycle, i.e., which is called your period, that's when your period starts. So what does a healthy period look like, especially if you've never had one? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my personal opinion. on this, simply because I've been looking at this for a long time, and also the suffering I've been through as well. So again, this is a personal opinion, so don't take this like it's actual fact. So, but what, look, let me share briefly what we are told about the menstrual cycle though. We're told that the menstrual cycle should be around about 21 to 35 days. This is sort of roughly a healthy cycle, yes, with roughly about 2 to 7 days of bleeding. A shorter cycle, say less than 21 days or longer than 35 days, is considered irregular. In terms of menstrual fluid, it should be mostly liquid and no large clots. Once the flow starts, the menstrual blood should be, the color should be bright red. Okay. Blood loss, according to the medical experts, shouldn't be more than about 3 tablespoonfuls over the course of the entire period, depending on the length that you normally have, which is between 3 and 4 and up to 7 days. Right? There should be minimal discomfort. And when I say minimal, what I actually mean is there should be no discomfort at all. At all. Experts believe, or we've come to believe, because this is what we've been told, is that some discomfort is expected and severe pain is abnormal. So yeah, that makes sense. However, in my experience, it's very possible that it's very possible for women to achieve a pain-free period. But when I really think about it, a healthy period is a bit of an oxymoron. So I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. Just open your mind for a second. But I want you to think that out of all the species on the planet, literally every single one, because if you're a wildlife fan like I am, and you watch animals in the wild, you'll notice that if you think about it, women on the planet are the only species that bleed. We're so accustomed to this abnormality to the point that we don't feel right if we don't bleed. Okay. So when our period stops, for whatever reason it might be, we'll do everything to make sure it comes back. Now, if there's some Christian women on the line, and I'm sure there is, if you know your Bible well, you'll know that blood is the liquid of life. You'll know that. Okay, so if that's the case, why is it that what is healthy about our life force pouring out of us? I want you to think about that for a second. You know, at school, I don't know what you were taught about the menstrual cycle, but I clearly remember our teacher, I remember it to this day, our teacher talking to us. And she said, I think it was biology lesson actually, and she said to us, when it comes to your menstrual cycle, you should have no more than a half a tablespoon of blood through the entire menstrual cycle. Half a tablespoon, she said. Now I sat there and thought, yeah, I wish. That was the first things that came into my head. And I remember thinking that, because ever since my cycle started, there was no way. I mean, I lost more, much more than half a tablespoon. In fact, I thought, oh, if anybody experiences that, I would love to, but that's not my experience. But nobody ever talked about having abnormal, heavy menstrual flows. So I suffered for years. And I'm sure a lot of you may relate to that. So in yesterday's masterclass, we spoke about estrogen dominance and the symptoms associated with it. What we see next are the symptoms that are typically experienced up to 2 weeks before a woman gets her menstrual cycle. So here we have things like PMS, and PMS comes with a multitude of symptoms. As we know, this is only just a few of them. So it's anything from bloating to acne, as listed here. And this is, like I said, this is only a small list. Some women may experience a range of emotional symptoms, actually, sometimes right before their period. So that could be anything from anger to feeling sad, which immediately disappears when her period starts. Of course, medical experts have no idea what causes PMS, but say the risk factors include a high salt diet, alcohol, and caffeine. But that's what they say. So going back to, like, I'm not religious or anything, but if we go back to what the Bible says, it says, the Bible states that blood is life. So I'm going to read a couple of scriptures out to you. Like I said, this is not getting into religious. I'm just making a case here. Okay. So this is what's got me thinking. So I'm just here to make you think. All right. Only be sure that you do not eat the blood, for the blood is life, and you shall not eat the life with the flesh. This is why you get the Muslims, that's it, the Muslims who make sure, that's why they eat halal meat, because halal meat is prepared in such a way that it drains all the blood away. So they don't eat it because blood is life. Okay, so that was from Deuteronomy 12:23. Another one, the scripture, is from Luke 8:43 to 48. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'll read some of it. So now there was a woman, some of you may be familiar with this. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. And though she had spent all she had on physicians, no one could cure her. She came up behind Jesus and touched the fringe of his clothes, and immediately her hemorrhage stopped. Then Jesus asked, "Who touched me?" When all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the crowd surround you and press in on you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me. For I noticed that power had gone out from me." When the woman saw that she could not remain hidden, she came trembling and falling down before him. She declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched him and how she had been immediately healed. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." When you look at it from a historic perspective, you need to begin to question whether blood loss each month, especially if it's heavy to the point it's making you ill, is actually healthy. Let's flip this over. So if you don't have a period, you're retaining your life force. Back then, if it was in biblical times, if it was considered unclean, although some would argue that bloodshed is, by a woman each month, is for the sake of giving life. That's what some would argue. But I can't say I'm convinced of that. Are you? Again, according to the NHS, periods are considered heavy if you need to use two types of sanitary products together, because some women will wear like a super pad and a tampon as well. The periods last more than 7 days. You pass clots that are bigger than about 2.5 centimeters. Now, my clots were the size of my hands, and my hands are quite big. You bleed through to your clothes or your bedding. You avoid daily activities like exercise or take time off work because of your periods. Who's been to the gym and had to walk out? I have. You feel tired or short of breath a lot. Not surprised, because you've got no oxygen or energy in you. Very painful periods may lead to missed days at work and may cause nausea, and often it may come with a sharp pain, or like a sharp stabbing pain, sometimes before you release a big clot. But both, whether it's heavy or painful, or both, they're both caused by the release of pro-inflammatory prostaglandins. Now, pro-inflammatory prostaglandins are hormone-like substances which cause the pain and the cramping. And the conditions as well that can cause heavy and painful periods include endometriosis, although not always, fibroids, and another one is called adenomyosis as well. And that is probably one of the least diagnosed gynecological complaints. So what about medication? We are told that if your menstrual cycle is affecting our health and daily life, or quality of life, shall I say, you need to seek help from your GP. Again, according to the NHS, heavy periods don't always need to be treated. In fact, many women just live with it. I know I did, and I did for many years, and some of you may have done. So let's ask this question. Can tranexamic acid or other medication repair or regulate periods? You're probably going to say to yourself, no, that's not the case. Here's why. I said this yesterday as well, and I'm going to say it again today. There is nothing wrong in seeking medical assistance or going to your GP for fast fix medical solution if you just need relief from your symptoms, okay? As long as you are aware, that is all they are treating. So no matter what the medication, it will only ever suppress or alter the delicate mechanisms of your body, because that's what they're designed for. They block and suppress, okay? So when you take certain medications together, for example, if you were to take tranexamic acid and the birth control, the pill, there's an increased risk of something like deep vein thrombosis, DVT. Other treatments include the pill, which I shared with you yesterday, or other forms of contraception, and also anti-inflammatory painkillers as well. So, but when it comes to your periods, I have 6 really effective daily habits that you can implement right now without any issues for healing your womb. And because you want to ensure that you have a heavy cycle, if you still want one, that is. So these are the very same steps that I took and continue to do so to make sure that I continue healing on every single level. So you can hack your hormones with a healthy diet. So it's the usual things that this is not going to be any surprise to you, these things. So you want to eliminate refined sugar, because we know refined sugar, I think it's Dr. Mark Hyman, who says that sugar is worse than cocaine. So for him to say that, you know, sugar's bad. Okay. Sugar addiction, particularly, can lead to insulin resistance and other hormonal balances. So if you have fibroids, cysts, PCOS, endometriosis, or other blood sugar issues, I would suggest eliminating sugar altogether. If you don't have any blood sugar imbalances, you can use more natural, sources of sugar like honey or something like that, coconut palm sugar, maple syrup, but a good quality one. But again, you just use these sparingly anyway. You wouldn't want to go mad on those. Alcohol's a big thing with a lot of people, because I've spoken to a lot of women who love a glass of wine, especially after work, and they just want it with their dinner because it helps them relax. It's like, have you got no other way of relaxing? And I see it on TV all the time, especially those property programs where people are buying houses abroad and they look out on the balcony and say, oh, I can see myself sitting here with a glass of wine. It's like, what's with this wine thing? And that's what I've realized. I think, cannot people live without this alcohol? When I stopped drinking, suddenly I was Billy No Mates. There was once as well, I worked with a client. Now I'm going back a while here, a young lady, and she was suffering from migraines. I mean, this migraine just never left. It was there all the time. And she just lived with it. And they tried everything. They tried surgery, the medical side. They tried surgery, medication. They did all sorts. They adjusted her jaw. She checked her eyes, had her eyes checked at the opticians. She would do everything else. But one thing she would not give up is a nightly 2 glasses of wine, because it helped her relax. And that was the only thing that I could think of that was constantly giving her those migraines. But because I couldn't get her off it, we didn't make any headway. So alcohol, when it comes to hormone, is like fuel, putting fuel on the fire. Just one alcoholic beverage a day raises your estrogen levels. Okay, so how many, excuse me, how many coffee addicts in the house? Raise your hands. There was a time I went to a trade show quite a few years ago, and we came across a small company who had a stand promoting an alternative to coffee. And I tried it. They had different blends. I think they had a French roast and things like that. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I can't remember. I can remember the French roast because that's what I tried. It looked, it smelt, and it tasted of coffee, but it was made from roasted cacao beans, i.e. raw chocolate chocolate beans that had been roasted. It was absolutely delicious. Sadly, they're not in the UK anymore, and they weren't selling at the show either, because they were just doing sampling, because they were looking to get suppliers over here. But so I never actually bought any, but it was amazing. But what I do know is that there's a company called Cacao Brew. They're over here, cacaobrew.co.uk. That's CACAO brew.co.uk, and they offer a similar thing. Of course, it's chocolate, so there's caffeine in it. So if you need your caffeine fix, you're still going to get it. It's just that it's in a lower amount. A lesser content compared to coffee, for instance, especially if you have an espresso or something like that. The thing with caffeine, if you overconsume, it can lead to cortisol imbalance, anxiety, and poor sleep. Cortisol is your stress hormone. So you've got to think, if you can't get through the day without caffeine, that's a sure sign you have hormonal imbalances. And going back to the chocolate thing, there was once upon a time when raw chocolate was the big thing. I went mad. I made loads of raw chocolate as well as eating loads of chocolate, and I was buzzing the whole night. I didn't sleep a wink, and that was due to the caffeine content. So you've really got to be careful. The next one is to meal prep and cut down on eating out. Now, I'm not saying become a, sort of a nocturnal animal or something like that, because of course we need to have fun as well. But there's a fine balance, especially if you're going through the healing stages. As we know, processed foods, fast foods, whatever, I hate calling them foods, actually. I call them substances. They're not going to provide your body with the nutrients your body actually needs, especially if you've got hormone imbalances and you've got gynecological issues. So without the right nutrients, your body cannot make or manufacture hormones necessary for hormone balance. So of course, when it comes to a healthy diet, don't overeat. Restricting calories, for instance, if you're doing diets, and overeating can lead to hormonal imbalances. And it's essential to eat the correct amount for your body. We went through that yesterday in terms of weight loss resistance. But what if you're already eating well? Because I know some women who do eat well, but they're still having issues. It's not going away. All this tells me is that further investigation is actually needed, because your issues have gone beyond what you eat. But I would still suggest carry on eating well, because it's not doing you any harm. So in terms of nutrients, these are just a few. You need much more than this. But when it comes to zinc, it's going to help regulate the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, known as the HPA axis, which is your stress response. And it also reduces inflammation. Zinc is good for nourishing your ovaries. It's good for healthy ovulation and progesterone production as well. And zinc is essential for hormone synthesis. But before I carry on, when it comes to nutrients, you've got to establish your nutrient status. There's no point just going and taking a supplement without knowing whether you actually need it or not. So when it comes to magnesium, magnesium supports hormone health by reducing the pro-inflammatory prostaglandins, which is what I mentioned earlier. It's really good for relaxing the muscles. So if you experience cramping, it can ease the cramping. It prevents constipation, and it supports the adrenals as well. You've got vitamin D. We're all deficient in that because we just don't get any sunlight at all. And the studies have shown that vitamin D, which is actually a hormone, as we know now, as you may be aware, and that also helps to reduce period pain. You can find some foods with maybe micro doses of vitamin D, and they're mostly animal based, like cod liver oil, eggs, salmon, tuna, things like that. But the best, most effective way is via the sun. Okay. But like I said, considering we hardly get any sun in the UK, supplementation becomes necessary. But again, you can't fool your body by taking a supplement. You just can't. When it comes to iron, we all know how important that is. It's an essential nutrient for women who menstruate, because we're shedding our life force. Our life force, which the blood contains the element needed to produce oxygen. That's why we're always exhausted when we've got heavy periods, right? So eat plenty of iron-rich foods. But just note, as you've probably, if you've probably had prescription iron tablets, that can cause your stools to turn black and it can cause constipation, and it's not nice. And iodine, the last one. This is not just for thyroid health, it's an essential nutrient for ovarian follicles as well, and breast tissue. It helps detoxify estrogen. It makes and it making it beneficial if you have excess estrogen. Seaweeds, you know, ocean vegetables, for instance, are a really good source of iodine as well. But the best way in terms of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, etc., is with whole foods, is to eat whole foods, nourishing whole foods. You know, we hear about sleep all the time. Sleep, good quality sleep hygiene is fundamental to live a balanced life, quality life. So, because sleep is when your body goes to work, okay? You're asleep and your body is doing the night shift. It's busy cleaning, repairing, restoring, building. This is why sleep is so vital, because some of us, we, you know, probably like to go and party all night, but actually you're doing yourself a disservice. Sleep is essential for hormone health because it stabilizes the HPA axis, which is I've already mentioned. It balances the stress hormone, which is cortisol. It improves insulin sensitivity, and it regulates the release of your hormones as well. So think about how many hours you sleep per night. Is it enough? Is your sleep uninterrupted? Do you have at least 7 hours? Some of us do less, maybe 6 at 6.5, just depends on the person. If you have trouble sleeping, like I did, because I was a chronic insomniac once upon a time, you can consider natural sleeping aids such as magnesium's a good one, and valerian root. Valerian root, bear in mind, doesn't work for everybody. It can actually work the opposite, okay? Because valerian in some people can work like caffeine. So, of course, we all know and love exercise. If exercise is not something you do, then it needs to become part of your life because it's necessary for hormone health. Everything we do is necessary for hormone health. It's important to note that, though, of course, not all movement is good for hormone health. So you've got exercises, gentle exercises, for instance, like yoga, depending on the type of yoga you like. Power yoga is very different to yin yoga. You've got walking, that's easy and it's free. And weightlifting exercises, weight bearing exercises, especially if you're using your body weight, these are the kind of things that won't send your cortisol levels soaring. Okay, and they're the best type of activities to do when you're looking to balance your hormones. But overtraining, i.e. athletes, for instance, can negatively affect hormones because some of, especially the gymnasts, you see the young gymnasts, some of them are 15, 16, but they look like they're 11 years old because the level of training has literally stopped their body doing what it does naturally because of all the stress, because of the training that they do. And of course, this is another one, is stress, because I know there is some serious stress going on in women's lives. And we did go over this yesterday, but prolonged stress, anxiety, And worry is going to disrupt your hormones, especially progesterone. If you're super serious about repairing your periods, managing stress levels, that's a non-negotiable. What I'm also talking about when it comes to stress, because we're just thinking, oh, you know, traffic, trying to get on a crowded bus or a tube or something like that. But I'm also talking about deeply ingrained trauma, much of what we haven't dealt with as adults. Dealing with deeply buried emotional issues is essentially a detox of the mind and the body and the soul, but you have to be ready for it, because detoxing the mind can get really messy. And many people may not be ready to let go of that stress for whatever reason. Or if they are ready to let go, they don't exactly know how to let go of it. So they don't know what to do or where to start. So for now, I've got these are some simple ways that what I've listed here that you can begin to reduce stress. And again, I'll go on. One of my favorites is yin yoga. You know, this is my go-to. So what's yours? You could just jot down a few things, journal. If you do that, great. Do something you enjoy, a bit more playful, because I think as adults, we lose our sense of play. You know, and practice daily affirmations. Do whatever is your thing. Now, detoxing is one of my favorite subjects. I became a detox specialist because simply I've done loads of detoxes since the early noughties, since about, I don't know, 2007, 6, maybe before that actually. So not only is it important to detox your body, your mental and emotional health, but also the products you use, from beauty products to cookware as well. Especially sanitary towels. If you're buying something from, whether it's Boots or Superdrug or something like that, it may be time for you to start switching over to organic products. You know, where you possible, purchase organic food. A detox, a proper one, is the fundamental piece of your healing. When you are thinking about or about to embark on a healing journey for chronic disease. So tell me, how would you feel if you knew without a doubt that you could reverse heavy bleeding and other period problems or womb problems without medication? How confident would that make you feel? Do you believe it's even possible? I walked you through 6 powerful daily habits for healthy hormone balance. So, but in fact, these habits are vital for a fun-filled, joyous, healthy life. Have you got that? So I believe, my belief is that if you hold space for these healthy habits, you can change your period for the better. Okay. I also know how difficult it can be as well. Sticking, especially when you're trying to stick with a healthy diet, because we all think we have to be perfect with it. You know, quitting sugar and healthy living can be hard, especially when you're working full time, you're looking after children, you've got a full-time job, and on top of everything else you need to do. But what if your life was no longer ruled by your calendar? What if each month your cycle was easy and predictable, and it was so light that you hardly even notice it? What if you only had to use one of those small pads? You know, panty liners, that's the name I'm looking for. What if you had a good amount of energy that lasted all day and your mood was better, you had the freedom to live your life? If this is okay with you, I'd like to share with you my brand new 21-day program that will give you a natural solution to help kickstart your womb healing journey. So I really would love to share that with you if you would allow me to do that. So it's called the 21-day spring reset. It's my brand new program that kicks off next month. And it's a program where I'm going to guide you through an easily to follow non-restrictive detox that's going to jumpstart your hormone recovery through an easy to follow plan. It's going to help you ease monthly pain. It's going to help you increase your energy levels as well as help you back on the road to getting your life back and not be ruled by your calendar, because we all know what that feels like when you want to go out but you can't because Aunt Flo's there. You'll have super delicious, nutritious, simple meals that will not only fill you up, because that's what we want. We don't want to be hungry when we're changing our eating habits, but it's going to help you feel like you again. It's going to help you feel normal. Let me just say this, ladies. Healing is in your hands if you have the right tools. And that's exactly what's provided in this 21-day reset. Think of the reset as your foundation, your gateway, if you like, to health, because it's not just about your womb, it's about your whole body as well. It's your whole body healing. Okay, but one thing I can say is that we're so used to feeling rubbish, most of us don't even know what healthy actually feels like. But you will when you complete the 21 days. Detoxing, you know, as I've mentioned before, has been, you know, so detoxing several times a year has been part of my healing strategy for a very long time now. And it's the starting point for any reproductive health and healing program. Why is that? It's because it's important to reduce the toxic load. One thing you cannot do is that you cannot heal properly. You can't heal your body properly if it's clogged up with toxins. But by clearing away toxicity, what you're effectively doing is resetting the body a bit like you would reboot your computer once that's, you know, because we all know what that's like when we have to reboot our computer, especially if we update it. So that's what you're doing. You're upgrading your internal body. You're hitting the reset button, you're rebooting, you're refreshing. Okay. So these are just a few of the subjects that will be covered in the spring reset. You're going to learn about all the basics of detoxification, what it is and why it's important. Okay, I'm going to show you the telltale signs where you need a detox. And how I'm going to do this is that you're going to have a checklist of symptoms that will show you that you need a detox. We're going to talk more about your detoxification organs and how to support them so they actually begin clearing excess estrogen from the body or excess hormones, any hormones. And of course, there's a lot more to that, but that's just a sample. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link in the chat once I finish sharing the screen, so you'll have all the details. And as part of the program, you'll get access to the materials you're seeing on the screen here, which includes your Reset Success Manual, a food plan with, you've got over 25 recipes in there, a shopping list, you've got a progress tracker in there, and also I'm giving you a bonus guide, 15 ways to detox your home. And this is something I've been doing for many years, and I love to share this with you. It's a group program, And most of the action will take place in the private Facebook group. And that's where I'll be doing lives, pretty much like I'm doing now. And I'm going to be posting extra recipes. I'm going to be answering your questions, and you'll be able to interact with other women in a really supportive, nurturing environment. The full value of the program is £95. But because this program is brand new and we are celebrating springtime, because it kicks off on the 21st of March, which is the spring equinox, I'm offering an early bird saving, so you get the entire program for £85. So you'll use the coupon code reset21 to get your saving, and the coupon's valid until the 4th of March, midnight, the 4th of March 2022. You have two options as well for the reset. You can do just the detox, or you can do the detox with the cleansing kit, which it's going to enhance your detox even further. And again, you're going to find all the details of the program and what's included in the cleansing kit by clicking on the link, which I'll post in the chat. Okay, so what happens if you do nothing? Well, I didn't do anything for years, and believe me, that's why I ended up in hospital. So it's quite straightforward. Your hormones will remain unbalanced, which they will, because the underlying cause hasn't been dealt with. The suffering will continue. Your symptoms may get worse, because mine did. I sat in it for years. You might stay confused and stressed out because you're not getting any joy from your doctor. And what happens in the end, you've just done, you've had enough, that's it, you'll sacrifice your womb because that's it, you can't take anymore. I mean, there's so many women out there now celebrating what they call eviction day. For me, that's heartbreaking. But one thing I'm not doing, I'm not scaremongering. It's because I've seen this over and over and over and over again. If the 21-day spring reset resonates with you, I'll post a link in the chat and go ahead and go and read all the details about it and join us. Also, I'm going to give you I've got a little thank you gift for being here, for taking the time out and joining us for this two-part masterclass. So the first one is a handout on DIM. So this is where I'm going to show you how to balance your hormones with natural sources of DIM. I'm going to show you the difference between dietary sources and supplementations. We're going to speak about potential concerns when they take in natural sources of DIM. Plus, I've given you a 5-day DIM challenge as well. The second one is about balancing your blood sugar. Now, this is especially really important, especially for women who may have sugar cravings. So it's going to help you balance your blood sugar. So what you're going to learn about is the impact sugar has on your body, especially your hormones. You're going to learn about the signs of blood sugar imbalances, and you're going to have 5 simple things you can do to ditch the sugar habit. So like I said, this is great for you if you've got a bit of a sweet tooth, you love heavy carbs like bread and pasta and things like that. And if you've registered for the masterclass, then I'm going to send these to you via email. There's no sign up or anything. I'm just going to send the link and then you can just download them. Okay. So if I don't have your email, i.e. you didn't register for the masterclass, I'll share my contact details. So if you want to drop me an email, then of course I can send those to you. Otherwise, I won't have a way of getting those over to you. All righty. So beware though that it's important that you do give me the correct email, because if I send it and it bounces or you don't get it, then I'm not going to know. I'm not going to know that. Another thing I'd love you to do is to, if you so wish, that is to join our tribe of womb wellness warriors, because I'd love to stay connected with you. I appreciate you being here. The Fibroid Freedom Solution it's a small group, but we're a growing tribe of women who are seeking natural solutions to womb care. So no matter what your issue is, I will be sharing helpful tips about self-care, detoxification, food, supplements. Plus I'll be doing some polls as well, challenges, that's coming up next month. And I'm going to be sharing some healthy recipes with you. So if you know, so if you want to come in there and have a little taster of the programs that I do, then you know, then do join us. Of course, the challenges won't go as deep as the 21-day reset, but you're still gonna learn a lot. So this is how you can get in touch with me. Again, I'm going to post all these links in the group, and I'm going to send them out via post all these links in the chat, plus I'm going to send them out via email, so you'll have everything. Yes, so so that's what I'll do. All right, so that's the end of the masterclass. Thank you so much, and if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to post those links. JD.
Well, I would like to thank you, Valerie, for that very informative session. It was really nice having this information, because I wasn't really taught this during school or really had this information available. So it was really nice to have this session, and maybe we could do it again sometime in the future. That would be really nice to get some more women involved in this session. So does anyone have any questions? You're all you all can unmute yourself to ask a question.
Yeah, Valerie, I have a question, please.
Yeah, of course. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks a lot for this very informative session. I really enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there's something that you said, dish is under dish detoxing. You say wave bye to anemic 3 p.m. slump.
Yeah, what? So yeah, that's just essentially to do with energy. So when somebody's unbalanced, i.e. they may have a blood sugar imbalance, they tend to crash at a certain time. They say the 3 p.m. That's kind of like a standard time. It could be any time, but most people after lunchtime, when they've had their lunch, they crash in the afternoon and they feel really tired. They're lacking in energy. So what they tend to do, that's when they start reaching for the sugar or the caffeine or something to revive them, because they need the energy, because they're flagging, especially if they're at work.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, does that answer your question? That's what I mean by that.
Okay, so what to learn there is to be able to contain or control your sugar level at all time.
That's a whole foods diet. That goes back to what I said in the slides, that I shared with my 6 powerful, healthy habits to help you manage your blood sugar levels. But also I've got the handout to give to you that's going to give you some details of how to manage your blood sugar levels, and everybody who's registered for the masterclass will get a copy of that. But if you haven't registered and you just came in straight with the Zoom link, I've put my details in the chat. So my email address is there. So if you want to email me and you want to grab those, those handouts, which are really fantastic, then obviously just let me know and I can send those directly to you. So that's going to give you some information in how to manage your blood sugar. All right.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
So someone in the chat, sorry. So someone in the chat said that they know someone who had endometriosis quite bad a couple of years ago. The doctors told her to take an injection every month so she didn't have a period. Failing this, they said that she may have to have a hysterectomy, but she declined. What advice can you suggest?
Yeah, I always say, like I said yesterday, the best place to start is with diet. Also, what I mentioned yesterday is that she may want to get tested. She may have to do it privately, though, especially if she's not getting any joy from her doctors. Because if she doesn't want to go down the medical route, which people seem to be forcing, like I said yesterday, they seem to be forcing or shoving hysterectomy down women's throat. So yes, she can watch the recordings of the masterclass, both of them, if she's not here, and that's going to give us some really good tips from yesterday and today as to where to get started. So I suggest you start there, or you can pick up my details and send them to her, i.e. the womb well, the Fibroid Freedom Solutions group. She can join that, and I'm going to have some tips in there. If she just wants to start getting her feet wet, then she can, she's more than welcome to join the group, or she can contact me to have a 30-minute sessions. It's complimentary. There's no charge for that, where I can speak to her and then give her some ideas of, the angles that she can take, I hope that's helpful.
So another person in the chat said, how do we share awareness in our communities? I have a new consciousness which I wish I knew I had years ago. I do my bit informing my peers of dietary habits, detoxing, distressing, and staying active.
Well, the thing is, it all starts with you. You can't really force people to do stuff. You can certainly talk to them about it, but I always say they have to be ready to hear it, because they may hear you, but they're not listening, you see. So they may go, yeah, I know I need to do this, or I need to do that, and blah, 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 blah. But they won't actually take the steps to do anything because they're just not ready. So you can also, just speak to people about it. Or if we run this again, then please share the details with them, because I'm always trying to create awareness with people, because there's so much education that's needed around this, because so many people aren't aware, you see, of that. So they just live with all these womb issues. It's crazy.
Thank you. So does anyone else have any questions they would like to share?
Yeah, I would like to just thank you, Valerie, for the information that you shared with us. Like the person who just spoke, I've been down the medical route for a long time. I'm in my late 40s now, and in my early 30s, I was offered either a hysterectomy or a hormone drug to bring on the menopause, and I declined them both. But my doctor was like, oh, well, you said you don't want no more children, and that was the case, but I was not prepared to give away my womb. Otherwise, like you said, that is sacred for us. My periods, I would say, have got a lot better in recent years. They're still challenging. I could never wear a panty liner. I'm still wearing a super Tampax with a night towel during the daytimes. But I think a lot of the kind of dietary supplements that you've suggested, I have been taking those things for quite a long time. My diet is plant-based. and has been for a long time. And all of those, all of the supplements you've kind of said I have taken, but what I would like to do is to go and get tested, like to test which hormones may be contributing to some of my challenges. It's not as bad as it has been historically, and I've been going through this since I had my son over 20 years ago. But I would like to, that is a route I would like to try. I mean, all of the vitamin supplements that you suggest, I've been taking those for years. But I would like other women on here to be encouraged by what you've said, because I said, the majority of the lifestyle choices that you said is how I live, but I just need to identify which hormones and what vitamins I should be taking, what I need, because I may be just doing too much and maybe my body's not responding. So, and I would like to have the 30-minute consultation with you just to kind of let you know the kind of things that I have been doing.
Sure.
As I said, a lot of the stuff, I said, the majority of the supplements, I do all that. I mean, the only thing I haven't fully watched all of your stuff. I've been listening to a lot of it because I was traveling. Is I have sea moss. I make my sea moss, and I have that in like my green banana porridge. Have that in my smoothie bowls and stuff like that, because I just find to keep my energy levels up. But I could even be taking too many vitamins. Who knows? So, So but thank you very much. I really
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I appreciate the other women sharing their experiences as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Valerie.
Yes.
Please, can I ask you one question, please?
Of course you can.
Yeah, a woman of 72 years old, she's got children, she's got grandchildren, she's got great-grandchildren. What is wrong in she taking off her womb?
What do you mean, what is wrong?
What is the disadvantage of taking off the womb, doing hysterectomy?
Oh, I see, a hysterectomy. Oh, there's so many. A good website to look into is called Hers Foundation. That was set up, Hers Foundation, that was set up by a woman in America who had a hysterectomy, but she wasn't told about all the side effects. She was just told, she might have some hot flashes, she might experience, a little bit of discomfort, this, that, and the other. But what she realized is that she experienced a lot more. So if somebody's of 72 and has she had a hysterectomy, or are they looking to take her womb?
Yeah, looking to.
Why would they do that at her time of life? That's why would they? Has she got cancer or something?
No, she gets bleeding sometimes, and she gets pain, heart pain sometimes.
Right. Okay, so again, we're going back to the root cause. We would have to establish why that is happening, why she is bleeding, where is that coming from in terms of internally, what's happening in order to prevent that. Because a hysterectomy, again, is not going to fix the problem. It's just going to send the problem off somewhere else. Because I'm all about establishing, right, okay, let's have a good look at what's going on in the body and see what we can do to help fix it, or to help the body heal. So provide the tools so your body can set about healing. That's the kind of work we'd need to do. That doctors and stuff are just too happy to whip the womb out, and it's just not the answer. But it depends on what she would want to do, because obviously nobody can force her to do anything against her will.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'd really need to establish, or we'd need to establish what's going on with her. So she can always book half an hour with me. That's completely free to speak to me, and then we could go from there.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thank you, dear.
That's all right. Anyone else? Very quiet tonight.
Well, if that's all the questions, then I'll move on to the next thing. I will be sending this recording to Valerie, and then she can send it off to people who didn't attend. And I will also be putting this on our YouTube page. So for people who also didn't arrive, they could come to our YouTube site and they'll be able to view this session. But I do hope in the future we will be doing this session again so we can get more people. And it was lovely having you, Valerie.
You're welcome.
These both sessions were very informative, and you were able to tell me things that I never been taught before. And it's just amazing to have someone like you just educate us on things like this. And we need more people like you
Oh, thank
just
you.
teaching us like this. And you're absolutely amazing. And the work that you're doing is absolutely great. And I hope that you can continue this work.
Oh, thank you.
And hopefully we'll be able to spread your 21 detox to many women across the country and hopefully globally as well, because we need more information like this spread around the world.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with more of you. Thank you so much for that, JD. And thank you very much to you and the Croydon BME for hosting this. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I do what I do because I absolutely love it. It would be great if you know, ladies can join me, and so we can keep in touch in whatever manner that is. But I'll definitely be sending a link out to you as soon as I get the recordings, and so you can watch those again at your leisure, take notes, share it as well. It would be great to share. And so yeah, so that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. You're all free to leave, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you. Thank you for
Okay,
hosting
take
as well.
care. Bye.
Bye.